Yeah, I wanted to talk to you a bit about my day today because it's been quite an interesting day. Yeah, it's been a tiny bit annoying. A few things happened to me today. Does it ever happen to you when you get on the bus and the bus is completely empty, yet someone manages to get on the bus and sit right on top of your lap? This happens to me all the time. It gets a tiny bit annoying. And then I have to spend the rest of the journey feeling like I'm driving Miss Daisy to the train station. And I don't know about you, but I like to have my own space. It really annoys me. And then I remember getting off the train. I really wanted a fag, but I realised that I'd left my lighter at home, and I didn't want to purchase another lighter because if you're like me, you have a million lighters in the house, so I didn't want to spend any cash. Anyway, so I spent the rest of my journey in search for someone smoking so I could steal a light from them. And every time someone approached me who was smoking, would cross over the road just before I was about to ask them for a light. It was really annoying. And then I approached this guy who was drinking a can of beer, and I knew that he had been smoking because I saw him put out a fag. So I asked him for a light, and then in return he wanted a fag. I really couldn't be bothered to make him a fag, so I told him I didn't have any, and on that note he asked me for some of my fag. And I felt quite bad at this point, so I was like, yeah, okay then, you can have some of my fag. And then I was watching him, and he literally just annihilated my cigarette in front of my own eyes. My cigarette had been strangled. He had sucked the life from it. And I remember just staring at him and thinking, I really don't want this fag now. What am I going to do? And I was like, Jesus Christ. This means I'm going to have to make another fag and find someone else who's got a lighter to help me light my cigarette. So this journey was just so annoying. And anyway, so I got to the train station, and I got on the train. And about half an hour into the journey, this couple gets on and they sit down. And I remember it was very sunny, so I was looking out the window, and it was a spectacular view. There was so much to look at, fields and scenery and such. And the couple, they didn't talk. And about half an hour into the train journey, the guy points out the window and just randomly shouts out, motorway. Motorway. And I was like, what? And then he shouts it again, motorway, and he was pointing out the window. And I was just thinking in my head, out of all the things that you could point at, out of this window, you're pointing at the motorway. I just didn't get it. Like, who are these people? I mean, where do they come from? So anyway, after a minute I realised that they got on at Warrington, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to let them off then because Warrington people are so strange. I really really don't get the Warrington people at all. They're very strange. Yeah, so I just found it very bizarre. And then after leaving the train, I was very hungry. So I was planning on what to have for lunch in my head. I thought I'm going to buy a sandwich or something. And then I thought, actually, I'm just going to go to Lidl and buy some baguettes and make my own sandwich. So I go to Lidl and bought some baguettes. They had everything else there except for tuna, and I really, really wanted some tuna. I didn't have any, so I had to go to like 4 other shops before finding it because none of the shops had any. It was just ridiculous. The only time that I want fucking tuna and nowhere selling it. So I just thought to myself, what's going on with this day and when is it going to get better, because it's really stressing me out. So I get home and makes my baguette, and after making my baguette I dropped it on the floor, which I then picked up, put it back on my plate. I thought, I'm not going to throw it in the bin. This day has been far long enough. I'm just going to eat it now. Yeah, so it's been a really strange day, really. Don't really know how else to describe it. And I've been watching Titanic quite a lot recently, and the theme tune is literally just going around my head. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Yeah, so that's what's been happening today, really. I'm just gonna have my baguette and try and forget about it, because it's been another weird day for me, and I quite like to enjoy it now. So maybe I'll speak to you later and tell you of any more ridiculous stories that happened to me along the way.